That's what somebody will be asking.
Yes. So there are a number of options I want us to look at later in the discussion. You financing or going in for a mortgage to do that. But rental is extremely expensive. And I want to discourage our listeners from looking at the option of rental.
You're not going to be a very good friend of the landlords.
Well, we are looking at helping people plan their finances. I mean, as long as people will be financially independent, great. And you see, the way we have also structured rental in our part of the world, where young people are pushed to raise money for 2 years, for 3 years, I don't think it's right. Because if people were paying rent on a monthly basis, the pressure will not be that much. So I say that if you can, never rent. If you are living in a rented house at the moment and you are watching this program, you need to give yourself a deadline to move into your own house. And it is possible to do that. How do you move into your own house? Then we come to your question, how did you do it? There are basically two options. You are either building or you are buying. Whether you are building or you are buying, there are again two options to look at. You are either doing it yourself or you are going in for a mortgage or you are going in for a loan. The major problem with the building, and we almost had the same problem. When I say me, I mean me, myself and my wife. We almost had the same problem. And I see most people have that problem. Most people don't know the difference between a dream house and a first house. And that is why I want us to see that picture. So in the attempt to build our first house, most people attempt something like what we are just going to project. Okay, so you can see that on the screen. This is a 7-bedroom house. Kofi, if you start with this house, you will never finish. Unless you are extremely wealthy or you are at the very top in terms of employment. Else, you start this, if you're the average, you're never going to finish with this house.
And I guess that explains a lot of the uncompleted half mansions
scattered all over
the country.
Okay. And look at what we've done. We've put money, hard savings in bricks and mortar that is uncompleted, scattered all over the country. And some of them will never be completed. And I have seen some that started 15 years ago and they are still not completed. So if you start with this, I call this a dream house. If you start with this, you will never finish. And you know the complication with building a first house, a big house as your first house, is half of the time you are paying rent. And whilst you are paying rent, you are still trying to build this house. So whatever money that comes to you is going into the house. And the average worker will take between 10 to 15 years to complete a house like this. And I asked this question last Sunday. I was in a presentation somewhere and I asked this question, that what is the average number of children couples are giving birth to today?
Should I hazard a guess? Maybe two or three?
Maybe two or three. I mean, those of us who have 4, people will laugh at us. 2 or 3. And your children are either going to be boys or girls. So instead of this bedroom, this 7-bedroom house or 5-bedroom house, I say don't do this. Go in for a first house like what we are going to see. Can we go to that?
The other house?
The other house.
Okay.
On slide 8.
Okay.
That is a 3-bedroom house. Thank you. This is a 3-bedroom house. And my recommendation for the average Joe is going for the 3-bedroom house. Because we are giving birth to 2 or 3. And your children are either going to be boys or girls. The girls are in 1 bedroom. The boys are in 1 bedroom. Mother and father or the couple, you are in 1 bedroom. It's as simple as that.
3, all accounted for.
All accounted for. Don't talk to me about guest room.
That was the question I was going to ask you.
Don't talk to me about guests.
We're not ready to receive guests now.
We are ready to receive guests, Kofi. But even those who live in chamber and hall receive guests.
So how much more a 3-bedroom?
How much more a 3-bedroom?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Somebody can crash out in the hall and you can give the guest room to the person just for a week.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Or you can move the children from one room.
Exactly.
And you put the guest in that room.
Okay.
And guess what happens the next morning? There is a knock on the door. Who is there? And it's one of the children. Say, Uncle, my school uniform is in the room.
Can I have it, please?
Can I have it, please? And the guests will be packing baggage to leave.
Of course.
So I'm saying that a 3-bedroom house. Because if you start with a 7-bedroom house, we need to know that when the children go to secondary school, they don't come back. Once they go to secondary school, they come temporarily, 2 months, maximum 3 months, and they go back. They complete secondary school, they are in the university. The longest vacation will be 3-4 months, and they go back. And they finish university, start national service, and they are out. So I recommend strongly the 3-bedroom house as a first house.
Paul, I now understand these adverts you see in the papers looking for buyers of a 7-bedroom house to be converted into maybe a hostel or a guest house.
Yes.
Somebody's uncompleted building, and he can't do anything about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if it's completed and you want to sell, you still have a problem. Yeah. Because look at where we have these big mansions. You drive towards Dodoa on that stretch, towards Ibri on that stretch, towards Afenya on that stretch, towards the central region. And it costs a fortune to put up these 7-bedroom houses. So if you want to sell, you'll probably be looking at $250,000, $300,000, $400,000. And all the people who can afford to pay $300,000 won't live there. So you are stuck with that building because nobody will buy. You know, one of the important advice I got from one of my clients was to say that, look, the cost of building does not change that much. Whether you are building at East Legon or you are building at Dodoa, the cost of the bricks and mortar relatively the same. What gives value to the house is the location of the house. So he was like, look, it is better to build on a quarter plot or on a half plot at East Legon than to build on an acre at Dodoa or at Winneba. Because when it comes to the value, it's about the location. You know, so don't make that mistake. Else, every money you make will go into that building and you will never finish. And look at what I saw the other day when I met a 56-year-old man, and I was doing some planning for him. He lives in his own house, a huge house. But after we did a computation of his net worth, total assets, liabilities, take liabilities out of asset, what is left. The house he lived in was 90% of the net asset.
What does that mean?
What it means is that he's 56 years. When you pick all his assets in the world together and you strip off all his liabilities, if the net is, let's say, 1 million cedis, just for the purposes of explanation, his house alone is 900,000.
Which means he has to live on 100,000.
He has to live on 100,000. But you see, what it means is for his effort from childhood to 56 years, 90% is tied down in one house. Okay. And the house you live in does not put food on the table.
No.
In fact, when you should be fired, or if you should lose your job and you live in this mansion, the mansion will eat you up. It will not put food on the table, you know. So my point is that simple, if you are looking at a 3-bedroom house, you can do it. And by the time you are retiring, the value of your house must be between 5% and maximum 25% of your net worth. What is the way forward? You are either building or you are buying. If you are building, my recommendation is that where you are building matters. Don't go too far. I know lands are expensive closer to town, but the point is, if you go to after Budumburam or you go to Dodoa or Uyibi, and for the benefit of our international viewers, we're looking at the outskirts outside Accra. The land may be cheap there, but after building, you need to leave home at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to get to town. And people don't factor in the cost of fuel, how much you are spending on fuel to come to work every day and then go back. Most of the time, those who live in these areas, if they compute how much they are spending on fuel, it will probably be higher than how much you will spend renting a house in town. So psychologically, you think I'm living in my own house, but financially, it's even more expensive than living in a rented house. So the location matters. Don't go too far, else you're going to put a lot of stress on yourself in terms of timing, when you leave home, when you get home. Number two, you're going to spend a lot of money on fuel, and you're going to spend 4 hours every day in traffic. 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. It's too much stress. So don't go too far. It is better to get a plot closer to town. If it's even a half plot, great. You can put a 3-bedroom house on a half plot and still have enough compound to park 3 cars. Get a good architect to put the drawings together. You could do that. So look at the location in terms of your workplace. Don't go too far away from your workplace. Look at the location in terms of your children's education. These days, you have a couple living in Dodowa, and their children are in Richards. So they are leaving home early in the morning, else the children cannot get to school on time.
And that's like a 20 or 30 kilometer ride
exactly.
every day. And you're adding traffic and you're getting up early.
Exactly. And I have seen children having breakfast in the cars in the morning.
Yeah. I know of a couple who live in Sawam, but the children go to school in Dansuman.
Yes.
And so this is the journey they make every day.
Yes, it's exactly the point I'm making. You know what people do? People build, and at the point of moving into their house, they think about the schooling of their children. But it must be the reverse. Before you buy a plot, before you start building, you should be thinking of the schooling of your children. And you should factor that in. What is going to be the driving distance? What time are you going to be leaving home? When they close at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., what time are they likely to get home? You need to factor all this in your decision as to the location.
What about those who are thinking, man, it's too late for me already? I mean, my children are in Dansuman and our home is in Sawam. What is the way out for people like that?
You need to do the mathematics. And you see, when it comes to dealing with money, you must not be emotional. When you are emotional with money, you waste money. So you may be living in your own house, beautiful house in Kaswa, for instance. It may be wiser to have a 2-bedroom rented in Dansuman, which is 5 minutes drive out from the school, and 20 minutes drive away from the office, and then go to your house in Kaswa on weekend. Or one of the things one of my clients did was to move out of his house, rented the house out, because he was living in a big house and he had 2 children in a huge house at a good location. After engaging, it made sense that, look, I'll move out of my house and rent that house out. I think he got like $1,500 or so.
Good income.
And move into a rented house and paid about $500.
So he was making about $1,000 every month on his own house.
On his own house. But you see, if you are emotional about money, you can't.
I want to stay in my own house.
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
And when people visit me and they ask, they say, this is a rented house. No, ego and all that. So if you are living far off, there is nothing wrong with renting out your house in Sawam. You may get 500 cedis, and you may get a house closer to town and pay 1,000 cedis, which is higher than how much you are getting. But when you look at the additional cost of 500 cedis to you, and you look at the savings you are making in terms of fuel and timing and all that, it may be far wiser to do that than to maintain your position and say that I want to be living in my own house. So the issue of the schooling of the children is important. But another very important thing is family support. What do I mean by family support? In our part of the world, we rely on family support. You have children, sometimes your mom will have to come in to help you, or sometimes you drop the children off your siblings or your mom to take care of them. The child is running temperature, you need to go to work, somebody must take care of that child. But if you are living in Kaswa, you work in Tema, your parents are at Dodowa, or family, the entire family, they are in Dodowa, look at the complication.
You probably need a helicopter to be moving around.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. So family support must be factored in your decision as to where the house must be located.
So that you have easy access to them.
Exactly.
Before we run out of time, please talk about the other option of getting a house, the buying.
Yes.
You've talked about building right now.
Yes.
Let's talk about the buying and what options there are.
Yes. So when it comes to buying, the option is to use your own money or to go in for a mortgage. And if a mortgage simply means going in for a bank loan to buy a house.
But you have to put up a certain percentage for the bank to support you,
exactly.
Right? What are the percentages these days in terms of what you have to put up first?
I think about 30%.
30%?
Yes, about 30%. But I'll confirm with that. Because for what we are doing, I have spoken to a few companies to say that I'm going to be talking about housing. And we need to help people own their own house.
Exactly. Because 30% is steep.
Yes. So I would engage further and we can give some more information next week.
Okay.
And if you talk to us, you call GHOne, you come to me, we can link you up and arrange something for you. So you can move. We are here, and don't forget the 5 areas. One of them is giving back to society.
Definitely.
What we are also doing is giving back to society.
Of course, education is critical.
Exactly. Exactly. Out of our program, somebody's life must be better.
Definitely.
You know, but the big advantage with mortgage. Okay, so two or three things I want to say about mortgage. One, if you are going in for a mortgage, don't go in for a big house. That is too expensive. Because you see, in a part of the world, interest rates are high. So if you go in for a loan that you are using 20 years to pay, because the interest rate is high, and you're going to be paying interest on whatever balance is outstanding, you're going to end up paying so much over the 20 years. So I'm saying that if you go in for a mortgage, go in for a smaller house, maximum 3-bedroom house. If you can get a 2-bedroom house, that can be expanded to 3 or 4. You have a breakthrough.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. So going for that 2-bedroom, especially young couples, you just married, you don't need that additional bedroom. It will take probably between 2 to 5 years before you would need additional bedroom for the children. So going for that 2-bedroom house, expandable to 3. And once you go in for a mortgage, all effort must go into clearing the mortgage as quickly as possible. And my recommendation is give yourself 7 years. You may take the mortgage for 15 years, for 20 years, but in your mind, give yourself 7 years to clear the mortgage.
Will they allow you to pay more than you're supposed to be paying?
Yes, they will allow you. It may come with some penalty, but it makes a lot of sense. But the big advantage...
So you can take a 15-year mortgage and try to pay it off in 7 years?
Exactly, yes, you can.
Okay.
But the big advantage with mortgage over rental is once you take a mortgage, you can move into that house. Immediately. So even though it's a loan, you are living in the house.
Straight up.
Anytime you service your mortgage, anytime there is a deduction out of your salary that goes to the company that financed the mortgage, you are owning the house.
Do the banks discriminate against self-employed people? Because I get the impression that they focus more on those who are working in the formal sector, who have regular salaries coming in. How about the entrepreneurs?
The bank's major concern is that whatever money we are giving
must
come back.
Okay, right.
And it's the reason why it may appear as if they look more at those who are employees, because they know that you have a regular salary and you'll be able to pay. If you are self-employed, you need to convince the bank that you have regular cash flow, you have the history, and you'll be able to pay. Don't forget that the money that the bank is giving to you is for somebody.
Of course.
People have deposited money with the bank, and the bank is giving that money to you. And they have a responsibility to make sure that whatever money they are giving out comes back. So the beautiful thing is, anytime you are servicing your mortgage, you are owning that house.
You can move in straight away.
You can move in straight away. Okay. When you pay rent, that money is gone for good. It will never come back. It may only give you room for 24 months, 2 years, but that money will never come back. It's for the landlord. But if you are repaying your mortgage, you are owning that house every day, whether it's 5 years or 15 years or 20 years. Anytime you pay some small amount, you are owning part of the house whilst you are living in it.
And of course, we must not forget that if you get behind on your payments, what happens? The bank can take your house?
Oh, yes. I mean, that is the extreme end. Okay. And it's the reason why I recommend that once you go in, when you are going in for a mortgage, don't go in for something that will choke you. Okay. Something that is you cannot manage. That is number one. Two, don't go in for something that is too big. If you can get a 2-bedroom with enough land around the house, great. You could expand it. But once you go in for a mortgage, everything should come to a standstill.
Great.
Let's focus all our energies on paying off the mortgage as quickly as possible.
Let me read a couple of messages here. 0246 020580. We're talking about planning for housing. My guest is Paul Kofi Mante, Head of Financial Planning at EcoBank Securities Wealth and asset management. In buying and building, which one is good? Which one is better? I want to know more about the treasury bill. Okay, I didn't get your name, but somebody just wants to know. But I think you explained the difference between buying and building, and which
buying,
one works.
Building means that you are doing it yourself. Normally, building may be cheaper than buying. The same structure.
Okay.
But it needs a lot of supervision.
Okay.
You need to be there. Else, you buy 10 bags of cement and 5 will be used for your building. The other 5 will be used for something else.
For the builder's building.
Exactly. So if you are a busy person, you can just dedicate your weekends for your building.
Okay.
So Saturday, Sunday, all hands on deck.
Supervising.
Let's do as much as we can. Monday to Friday, I'm not available. We are not working. But building definitely will be cheaper than buying. What I will do next week is to bring 1 or 2 people on this show who have had this several years back, young people who have done it in 2 years, 3 years, and they will tell us how they did it.
Looking forward to that.
Yes.
A couple of messages here. Hello, CAF. This planning for a house is an important matter, and he wants to know, how do people get in touch with you, Paul?
I work as the head of financial planning. What we have done in EcoBank is to take our business beyond investment. Now we are moving into another phase where we help people plan their finances. So you want to plan your future, come to us. We don't charge money. You want to plan for retirement, you want to plan for housing. In fact, we will arrange and get a company to finance a housing for you. Okay. So I'm in the EcoBank head office, 2nd floor. Just call in, book an appointment, come in, and you will get advice for free.
His name is Paul Kofi Mante.
Yeah.
Somebody here is taking advantage of the show. Why not? Nanaya Nkaswa says, I have a house and I want to sell it. Can you help? Paul, if you did
I don't sell houses.
Don't you reach now?
I don't sell houses.
Okay. My name is Deladem, 22 years of age. Does EcoBank have any provision for saving money in building your own house?
Yes.
It's a 22-year-old person who's thinking about building his own house.
I'm excited about the young people because the younger you are, the more years you have. And it's so easy if you are 22 to live in your own house by 30, 35 years.
Okay, good. Keep them coming in, 0246 020 580. I want to leave. We have 2 minutes left. Paul, your final words on this particular issue. And of course, we are continuing next week, God willing.
Yes.
For somebody who is watching this show right now, thinking about planning for housing, what's the most important thing that he or she must have in their minds this morning? Please talk to them.
We need to start. You need to take a decision today. And my favorite quotation, I keep repeating, the best time to plant an oak tree, if you want to see the benefit of a tree, you should have done that 20 years ago. If you made a mistake at that time, the next best time is today. If you are still living in a rented house, I'm telling you it's possible. It's possible to build your own house, maximum 5 years.
How about somebody who is a Legon student? Kobe says, I'm in school. Can I start building while I'm in school? And how do I start that?
You see, the fact that you are in school does not mean you cannot make money. And as we are doing this every Monday, we'll start talking about multiple streams of income. One of the days, how you can start making money even as a student. And I have an example of a student who was doing something on the side whilst in school. And he bought a plot whilst he was in school and started building. So I don't know where it ended, but he started building whilst he was on campus. But if you pay rent, it makes it difficult to invest because you only be mobilizing money for a landlord. So my recommendation is, as much as you can, don't pay rent. If you are living in a rented house, after this show, you need to give yourself some deadline and move into your own house. If you want me to help you with the deadline, it must not be more than 5 years.
Okay. So many messages. Please contact Paul on Twitter, PK Mante on Twitter. On Instagram, Paul Kofi Mante. Send him a message. He will respond to you.
Or Facebook.
And you can go to Facebook as well. It's Paul Kofi Mante. And just send him a direct message. He will respond to you.
And get copies of our books to read.
Indeed.
It's very important.
They are all there. Just look for his name and get in touch. Read the books. Applied knowledge is power. Paul, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to next week.
Sure.
All right.
We're here next week.
My name is Kofi Day. You're watching GHOne TV. We have got our traffic check, which is coming up right now, and then News Extra 1 on 2. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so we are going to the Ring Road Central right now to see what the traffic situation is like at this time. These are real-time pictures, 8:30 It's jammed going towards Osu, coming towards Circle. It's freer. Interesting situation there on the Ring Road Central. Now from there, we're going to the Burma Camp Road, and going towards 37 is thick, but heading towards Trade Fair, it's much, much better. So this is what it looks like if you're coming out of Cantonment or the bypass that takes you to Spain Tex. This is what it looks like. We're going to the airport bypass now. It's moderate heading towards 37. It's free flowing heading towards the airport. That's the airport shell you can see there. And those of you who are flying out of the area, we wish you a safe journey. Come back safe. Okay, this is Tetekwashi. This is the road you don't want to be in at this time. It is as thick as a jar of molasses. It's really thick in all directions. It's not even funny. To Tema, to Accra, everywhere. And finally, Tema Harbour roundabout, where all the shipping, clearing, and forwarding action is taking place. This is what it looks like this morning. Traffic check done for today. The next one takes off at 6:30 tomorrow. So you've got some 22 hours or so for the next traffic check. Don't worry if we haven't covered your neighborhood. This is a pilot. We shall be getting to as many neighborhoods as possible, even beyond Accra. So stay with us. This is the traffic check on GH1 TV. The show continues right after this.
In the beginning, the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God.